where the microphone was on the other side. There's a little chat bubble. You click on that and type, and when Erin's presenting, I'll keep an eye on it, and when I'm presenting, Erin will keep an eye on it, so we can make sure all answers are being or all questions are being answered.
Yes. Yes, and I'm going to, and in that chat box, I'm going to upload the agenda for today. And so I'm going to do that right now. And then later on in this presentation, I'm going to upload a link to download the productivity tab in Word. It's kind of a compilation of accessibility tools, and it's not too hard. And I'm going to show a demo of that at some point today. So hopefully you get a lot out of this. Okay, let me get to my folder. So Fonz, do you want to talk about us for a minute and explain how we know each other?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, me and Erin, we've been working together for about what, 5, 6 years now, or about 5 years. Is
About
that?
3 for me on this one.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So Adams State and UNM Taos actually went in on a grant together. It was the Unidos grant, and so there was a lot of collaboration between our two universities. And yeah, about 3 years back, Erin joined the team. It was me, Catherine Brooks Williams from Highlands University, and Erin joined us. And then Peter, I don't know if y'all remember Peter Snyder. I think he just recently left your institution, but it was us four that kind of would meet together, go through different trainings that our different institutions needed. We published like a newsletter that we sent out with different things about Blackboard and how to use Blackboard more effectively. And so the grant actually ended last year, but we thought that this was such a cool partnership, and our institutions are similar in a lot of ways, like the students that we serve, the size. I mean, we're very similar. And so we thought that it would be beneficial to kind of keep this going. And hopefully this will be the first of several once a month trainings this semester. And definitely keep an eye open for the next ones. And we'd be happy to keep this going and help you guys. And any questions you have, even though I work from Adams State, I can still, provide any kind of feedback on Blackboard. And me and Erin are definitely happy to keep doing this. So nice to meet you all.
Yes, it's very nice. Hopefully I'm putting the right document up here, not a bunch of notes on ADA. All right, so if you look in the chat box, you should see our agenda for today. Some people like agendas, so I hope I gave you the right one.
Yeah, it looks good.
All right, I did. All right, so that's just for your own use.
Go
All
ahead,
right,
Rebecca,
so
if you have a question real quick.
oh, what? We have a question?
Yeah, Rebecca has
a Yeah, so I'm trying to download it, and it's requiring me to save it. Is there another way to do it?
I don't think so. Are you a Mac user?
No, I'm a PC user.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so yeah, you'll still have to download it in order to look at it.
You have to save it, you're saying?
Yeah,
Okay.
save, sorry, yeah.
Might pop into your browser. I also check your email from yesterday. I sent out a copy of all of it to the UNM Taos staff. So I'm going to go ahead and share our PowerPoint, and I'm actually, where did it go? And we're going to use the PowerPoint a little bit to do some demonstrations on as well, which hopefully should be kind of fun. All right, there you are. Okay. And how many people are familiar with Zoom? Or just kind of show of hands. Familiar? Okay. Nice. All right. Well, Zoom is it's actually made for more meetings, but we've been using it more as an educational, in an educational sense at the University of New Mexico. So it has been a big learning curve, I think, this year for everybody. And it's actually quite easy to use.
Oh yeah, once you get the hang of it, it's a pretty powerful tool.
It totally is. Let me see if I'm going to move that over. All right, so Fonz and I both work with Blackboard Learned. Adams State is in what's called Ultra, and we're in a bit more of an antiquated version, but we both have Ally, and that came in to both of our institutions this past semester. And I know some people have been kind of frustrated with the red barks on their syllabus and everything, and tried to make things more accessible. So that's what we're doing today. And Fonz and I are kind of in no way experts. We're not we're not the accessibility team, but we do know, quite a few things about um, how to make documents and things more accessible. So accessibility in Blackboard. All right, so let me see. Can you see when you see my desktop, do you see our group of people? Do you see on the sidebar?
I see the two, like the screen that you're sharing. I see the PowerPoint slide.
Okay, that's all that you see?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, well, like we said, I'm here at UNM Taos. I'm the Distance Education Coordinator, and Fonz is the Instructional Designer and Trainer for Adams State, but we work pretty closely in capacity and in similar capacities. We are kind of missing our former counterparts. Oop, yikes. So here's our agenda. Fonz, you want to read this one?
Sure. So I won't read it all to you, but this is going to be a hands-on workshop. So we're going to be actually walking you through some things. If you all have two screens, or you can minimize us and jump into Blackboard also and kind of poke around. But basically what we want to do is just introduce you all to compliance and accessibility. Again, we're not the experts. Each institution has their own office or team that handles that. So definitely they would be the place to go for any questions. But we just want to show you a few best practices that we've come across that we know works with Ally. And we're going to show you specifically Word and PDF because it's probably the most used formats in Blackboard. And we're also going to show you the accessibility tools that we use. Like Erin said, we're both using Blackboard Ally. It's a very powerful tool that kind of scans digital content and then gives you a nice little report on how accessible that content is. And it also provides you with feedback and demonstrations on how to make that better. And so we're going to show you that. And hopefully we're going to teach you all some current practices to incorporate. That way when you're going from one semester to the next and updating content, you'll actually be able to kind of use that as practice, like you already have the steps that that you need to add the little alt text for any images, that kind of thing. And so that's what we're going to try to do today.
And really the goal of our training today is to show you ways to upload a file, especially Blackboard Learn with Ally, to where you don't have the red meter right off the bat, so that you know how to, so you don't have to use Ally to fix things. You'll already know how to do that. And it actually is almost just as easy to make a document accessible as it is inaccessible. And it's just the more you know. All right, so to start off with, okay, ADA laws, compliance, Blackboard Ally. Thanks, Fonz, for reading all of this. So we're going to talk a little bit about captions and transcripts and some different options, also under the blanket of ADA compliance. Okay, the ADA was created to ensure that people with disabilities are protected from discrimination and have equal opportunity to utilize services and resources in our society. So this applies to all courses, not just online, regardless of the delivery method, because we're not confined to a classroom anymore. This was originally from Section 503 of the 1973 Rehabilitation Act, and so that was really the first disability civil rights protections that are out there. So we often think of things just like ramps, elevators in small buildings, things like that. But now that we're not confined to classrooms per se in a brick and mortar building or physical spaces, we have to be mindful of the ways people navigate content that we're putting out there. So a couple other things to be mindful of is that as an instructor, and this is UNM, but I'm fairly certain it's Adams State too, if you suspect a student has a disability, you must wait for them to self-disclose that. You can give them the resources. You can say, here's, or just maybe generally, you don't need to single anyone out, but you're not allowed to say, hey, I see you're struggling with this. It might help you to go to accessibility services. You have to let them self-identify. And once they've enrolled in a higher education institution, even if they're dual enrollment from high school, this conversation is not one that you can have with their parents anymore. The student has to follow the guidelines of the university. And we've seen in our dual enrollment programs, I'm not sure that that applies as much to Adams State, but do you have dual enrollment funds?
We do.
Okay, so yes, it would apply there too, because it's a FERPA violation then to even discuss it with the parent unless they have on record the student has signed a consent form. So some parents of children under 18 have a hard time with that. And worst case scenario as a university, a student named Jason Camacho, who's a blind resident of Brooklyn, he was suing the websites of universities because he uses a screen reader. And I'm not sure the outcome of all of these because it started in 2018, but if the website is not accessible, you're shut out. And that was kind of that was the discrimination factor. And of course he was right and he won. So for many reasons, we need to be mindful of disability and civil rights.
Mm-hmm.
UNM policy, this is the UNM policy. It's 2310 in big red. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but if anyone's interested, you can just Google it. It will pop up for you. But it's the continuing commitment, responsibility, and desire to provide equal opportunities and reasonable accommodations to individuals with disabilities. A lot of students instructors that use Learn are not always familiar with how to set parameters for students who may have extra time on tests. And so Fonz is going to cover some of the ways to do that very easily for them if they have extra time on tests, need unlimited time, or whatever the situation might be. And again, it is the student's responsibility to initiate that conversation with you and to work with at UNM, the Accessibility Resources Center.
Yeah, and at Adams, it's the accessibility office. And in our online syllabi, we have, as part of the template, tell students that, you know, if you want to go to this office and get help, here's the information, here's the contact. So we've added that as part of our syllabus template, and we feel like it's beneficial. Go ahead, Rebecca. It looks like you have a question.
There we go. That's better. So just point of clarification that because I'm at Highlands, and you know, here we have to have our disability coordinator contact us. The student doesn't do it. In fact, we're specifically told that the student doesn't have to do it. So the student themselves provides verification of their disability via what? Like, how do they verify? What is to stop any student from saying, hey, I need time and a half on a test, for example?
Fonz, you want to address that? It's the same for both organizations.
Yes, so at Adams State, it kind of happens a couple different ways. Probably the most popular is they actually have like what's called a 504 plan that they come with already. So it's been like they've worked with their high schools. It's been like diagnosed. It's like I'm trying to think of the right word, but like it's been, you know, a doctor approved that they do have a disability. They'll then bring that to our office of accessibility services, and then the accessibility services, you're right, the student doesn't go directly to the instructor. They can, but what they usually do is they'll go to accessibility services, and then a representative there will reach out to the instructor, some kind of electronic communication probably, that, you know, this student is in your course, this is the accommodations that you need to provide for them, and then it's up to the instructor to either set that up or then work with like myself and Erin to kind of set that up. But that's usually how it goes. We have some instances that I've heard from instructors where a student will just go to them and say, you know, I really need time and a half. I think that would help me. While it's not diagnosed and it may not be like, you know, required by law to do that for that student, the instructor does have the authority to say, okay, I'm going to be nice, I'm going to do it. It's for the benefit of the student. And then they might even do that for the rest of the class too, and say, okay, well, I'm just going to make this a little bit longer test now, for the benefit of the class. And so I think in that situation, it's more whatever the instructor wants. But I mean, if it comes from the accessibility office, then like by law, you have to set that up and it has to be in place.
Right. Well, and I also work for CNM, and CNM's policy is the student is the one who sends the letter that is generated to the instructor from the accessibility services, whereas UNM's accessibility services, I believe the student contacts them, and then the accessibility services contacts the instructor on behalf of the student. So it definitely check with the organization that you work with. I'm kind of an old hat. I've kind of been around this for a long time, and some people initially were very resistant to accommodations, feeling that it wasn't fair to other students and things. So we've definitely come a long ways in the last 10 years about in terms of progress with regards to all of this and different organizations' policies.
Yeah, and it looked like Amy had something to say real quick, maybe.
Yes, Amy?
Oh, it looks like you're still muted, maybe. There
I
you
was trying to unmute. I couldn't get it to work. So I have been the accessibility services coordinator at UNM Taos before. And so in terms of self-disclosure, that really applies to if you have a student you suspect has a disability, Erin, I think this speaks to that, then you're not allowed to ask, do you have a disability? You can ask leading questions like, well, why do you think you're having a difficult time with that? However, the faculty can never ask that question. Now, if the student does disclose to the faculty member must then refer them back to the Accessibility Services Office, where they will ask for the appropriate documentation, whether it's a 504 or an IEP. So those documents are accepted, and then they'll go forward from that point and help the student out and get all the appropriate documents in place so that we can provide the accommodations as necessary. Awesome. Now, in terms of your example where, you know, maybe the instructor can decide that maybe everybody needs additional time, that's great. That's more along the universal design side of things, which is something we probably should aspire to do anyway.
And we will be circling back to that with captions in just a little bit.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're good.
Thank you so much. And like, as Erin said, you know, like we're not the professionals.
No.
We don't have any authority on these, but there's definitely resources available. And I think me and Erin both know kind of enough to at least get ourselves in trouble. So.
Yes. We're dangerous. No, we can show you how to not have all the red, and that segues nice way into Ally. This is just a quick snapshot from one of our classes, and for those of you who noticed these on your students cannot see this, by the way. If you've uploaded a document and noticed either the green or the red, that's Ally at work here. And the difference between these two, and the only difference, is that this one has an image tag. And in the way that a screen reader works, this one says image of mother and daughter, and it doesn't say decorative, but it allows the person using the screen reader to not hiccup over the text. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but the only difference between these two images is that one has an image description and the other one doesn't. We're going to show you guys how to do that today. All right. Fonz, do you want to talk about Ally? I'm going to give you control.
Or if you want to stop your share, I can share my screen if that's
yes, please.
Perfect. All right, y'all see my screen okay?
Yes,
okay.
I see it.
Yeah, so this is the only difference I think between our institutions. This is ultra base nav. It just looks a little bit different. So
has more bells and whistles, everyone.
Just a little fancier maybe.
A little bit.
So by default, you know, the students will go to the institution page, instructors as well. So what you need to do is go to your actual course. And so for Ultra Nav, it's here under courses. Here's the courses here. And so we're just going to go into the sandbox class that I have. And so now it should look pretty similar to what y'all's Blackboard looks like. We're just going to go to a content area. So I'm going to go here to the syllabus and information area. And exactly as Erin said, you should see these gauge on most of the digital content that you're uploading to your courses. And this gauge is kind of just a quick look at how accessible that content is. So for example, these are all green. You can see the needle, like a gas tank, is towards the right. That means full. So that's actually a pretty good indicator that these are pretty good documents as far as accessibility is concerned. But now when I scroll down here, I can see that these are red. And so that's just kind of a quick glance telling me, okay, well, there's some issues with these ones. I might need to look at that. And if you scroll a little bit more, these ones are orange. That's kind of in the middle. So again, as Erin said, students can't see this. So don't be freaked out if if you see a lot of that red there. That just means that Blackboard and Ally are just giving you a little heads up on things that might have issues. So what you can do then, so we'll look at this red one here. If we click on the red gauge, we actually get a nice overview of what the biggest issue is. And it actually gives you a preview of what that digital content looks like. So for this example, we can see that this PDF document actually contains images that are missing a description. And so that's the biggest issue that Ally is seeing for this particular document right now. And so you can see there's 9 of them, and it's just giving you a quick glance. Now, what's really cool about Ally is it also provides these two options here. The first one is what this means. So if you click on that, it's telling you what an item description is, why it's important, and it also kind of points out, this is essential for students with visual impairments. So if you have a student that is visually impaired, they are using a screen reader, that screen reader is not going to know what to tell them, and they could potentially get hung up on this document, and they're going to have to reach out for additional support, which is frustrating and potentially illegal, right? So what we need to do then is fix this. So if
Fonz,
we, oh, go ahead.
real quick, we have a couple things in the chat box.
Sure.
Madrona wants to know what happens when the gauge is gray.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was going to say, Madrona, I've not seen a gray gauge too much. It's usually either a green or a red or yellow, like a stop sign. Is there a
I
gray?
thought my syllabus has that little gauge and it's in gray. Everything else, I think I'd have to actually, I just looked at it a few minutes ago and I'd have to go back and look at it to double check. But I think it's gray at the syllabus.
Okay.
I'll take a look.
Take a look and let us know.
If it is gray, definitely let Erin know, because I want to look at that too.
I know, we're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I'll do that right now.
And Kelly Clement said that he just had the extra time issue come up with a quiz, and he had the student ask him, so he just doubled the time. He didn't know the extent of the time for a single student, so he just extended it for all students. So that's totally acceptable, Kelly, if you're all right with that. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, and a little bit later we'll show you, like, if you want to adjust it just for that student that needs it, we'll definitely show you how to do that also.
Fonz is going to demonstrate how to just allow that for the one student to have double time.
Yeah.
Some of our
great questions.
Yes, definitely. Let's see. The only red meter I got in my course was chapter PowerPoint slides that I have to be downloaded to be viewed. Can PowerPoint slides be viewed without download? If you upload the PowerPoint, so the answer to that is actually yes. If you upload the PowerPoint, if you save the PowerPoint as a PDF file of the PowerPoint, then you don't have to download it.
Yeah, and it's more accessible in a different kind of way too, because students don't need Microsoft Office to download it. They can just pop it right up in Blackboard. It's not navigating them away from the online environment. So it's a good idea to have those PDF options available for a couple different ways too. So
yes,
yeah, but a PDF, it doesn't have to be downloaded. No. The only time we run into issues with that is if there's like embedded videos. Then there's some workarounds there too. It's a little more complicated. Yeah, if that's the case, you can reach out to me and Erin. I'm sure we'll be happy to help you.
All right, Fonz, sorry to interrupt. I didn't want the chat box to get too far away.
This is great.
Okay.
And so, and so maybe something you might not have saw too, it actually gives you an actual percentage. And I don't know how they gauge it. Like, I don't know what metrics they use, but based on the problems it's having, this is getting a 31%, which is low. So again, this is kind of showing you why it's important to fix that. But probably the coolest thing about Ally is it also shows you how to fix that document. So right here, the biggest is, missing those descriptions. Well, if you click here, it's going to show you how to fix those descriptions or how to add those. So the first thing it's going to ask is, do you have access to the original document? Well, if you don't, there's probably a version in the content collection of the course. So you can download it from there. And so we can say yes. It's going to ask you what program that was either used to make it or what's your preferred program. I believe both of our institutions use Office 365 for the most part. So you can click on Office 365 and it's going to walk you through step by step what to click on and how to do it. It also provides a little bit more specifics. So yeah, this is showing us how to add a description, but what's a good description look like? And so we can click on that. And it's going to show us exactly what a good description would look like. So for example, this one here, you can see the description that it thinks would be a good description for this image is a farmer standing in a field of yellow canola crop with a sign in the foreground reading grown for biofuel. And so that's a good, a lot of times I see like an instructor wanted to add an image and it was a picture of themselves in the syllabus and it's like picture of me. Well, what does that mean for the student that's using an e-reader and it says picture of me? Well, they don't know what you look like. So it's a little good to add maybe a few more like this example.
And it's
so,
also good, sorry, Fonz,
no,
it's
no, you're
also
good.
good to not add image of picture of me,
Hmm.
because the screen reader is already telling the student that, yes, this
It's
is
an
an image.
image.
You don't need to be redundant image of farmer in field of canola. Just, you don't have to say that. Just say
Hmm.
what it is.
For sure, for
Sorry,
sure.
Fonz.
No, no, great. No, no, thank you. And so you can see if there is about an ally window, if it has these little circles on the bottom, that means there's multiple pages. And so you just click on the arrows and it'll go to the next one. And so you can see here, this is a bad example, westminster.png. That's just the file name. So that's not an appropriate description of the image. And so this is a better one. 5 boats traveling on the Thames with the Palace of Westminster and Big Ben in the background. That way a student that's having this read to them with an e-reader knows exactly what that image is of. So that's just kind of an example there. Does that make sense for everybody, right? Thumbs up. It's good? Okay. And so to close any of these windows, you just hit the little X here, and that takes you back. So once you kind of work on that document and get it where you want it, it's really easy to replace it. All you have to do is drag the file into this box or click Browse, and then from your content collection, you can find that. But once you put it in here, it automatically replaces it for you. You don't have to like worry about versioning or anything like that. And then after a few minutes, it'll actually give you a new report based on the changes that you've made, what the accessibility score is then. Now, what's important to remember is this just shows you like the biggest issue with the document. There could potentially be multiple issues with the document. And so maybe before you upload it, you can click here on all issues, and it's going to show you everything that's wrong. So again, the biggest issue was the missing descriptions. The second biggest issue is headings. And so we can see this PDF does not have headings. And Erin will show you a little bit later how to add headings. But those are important because, again, the screen reader is going to, it doesn't know how to break up those pages for the student. So it's going to be really unorganized. It's just going to give them a wall of text. So using things like headings actually tells students, okay, this is one section that's different from the following sections. And so that's helpful. And it also tells you if you were to improve it, it's going to go up to 52%. And so that kind of gives you an idea. Now, this one here, it says the PDF has no title. Unfortunately, this one does not have guidance, as Ally calls it. So if this is a situation, Google's your friend, or you can contact myself or Erin, and we can walk you through that as well. All right. So that's kind of Ally looking at it from the content itself.
Fonz, can you show the overall Ally checker
Yeah.
from the course tools?
So this is a very cool thing that I like to use when I'm designing courses or helping instructors design courses.
And anybody
So,
can check this at any time in your own courses or in any
sure.
content you've uploaded to learn at this point.
Yeah. So if you go to course management, under course management, you should see course tools. And by alphabetical order, it should be the first thing you see is accessibility report. At least at Adams, it's the first thing. And so when you click on that, you know, the view we looked at before showed you for just that one piece of content. This is showing you your entire course as a report. And so what's cool about this is overall, this course is 74%, according to Ally, accessible. And so that's actually really good. So if we come down here, it breaks up what kind of documents this class is using. So we can see the majority of my content is HTML content, then PDF, Word, presentation, so like PowerPoints, and then items are just different Blackboard items. And so it kind of breaks it down there. If you click view, it'll actually show you all the content in those categories. And so we're going to go back to overview for a second. This overview will also show you content that's with the easiest issues to fix. And so if you want to jump this 74 up right away, there's 5 things I can fix fairly easily, fairly quick, that's going to get me there faster. This is an important part here. Fix low scoring content. So in this course, I have 8 pieces of content that are scoring exceptionally low. So it may not be the easiest ones, but if I fix this, it's going to substantially jump me up because these 8 pieces of content are definitely weighing it down because they have the low score. Before I click on the specifics there, this one also kind of breaks it down by category. So we can see my biggest issue for the course in general is my documents do not have headings. And so if I get into a habit of myself when I'm creating content to automatically add those headings, I already know that my course scores are going to start improving. And so that's what that does here. But for any of these, if you just click start, it's going to take you to that content that's being filtered, and you'll see exactly how to fix those by clicking on the gauge, and then it'll bring up that preview window that we saw before along with that sidebar. We can see this one here is really not good at all. It's only 6%. And so if I click on all issues, we can see there's some things that need to be fixed for sure.
Fonz, Madrona says that her gauge is orange, which is not bad.
Nope.
And can you just do a quick demonstration, since you're here, of what the students see? Remember, the students don't see your gauge. They're not judging you on your accessibility. They don't see that at all.
Yeah.
They just see the alternative formats that are available to them.
Yeah.
I think all of our favorites is the audio file that that will read the students the content. Students have really responded well to that. So if you could show that, Fonz, that would be awesome.
Yeah. So again, that X will get you out of there. So let's go back into the course itself.
Madrona, yes, there is. Alternatives are always attached. The orange gauge is just telling you how accessible it is. That's telling you, not the student. I hope that's clear.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so if we click on student preview to get in as a student, we'll see all those gauges go away. So I'm going to go back to syllabus and information. And so they don't see those gauges at all. But what they do see, and you'll also see it as an instructor, is this A icon. What that is that's alternative formats. So if a student wants to look at the syllabus in a different way, they can click on alternative formats, and it's going to give them different options. So HTML is a lot better for some mobile devices. So if the student's using their phone and the content's just not looking right, they can actually go to this and download an HTML version, and it might look a lot better for them. Like Erin said, my favorite is this audio. So they can actually download an audio version of the syllabus automatically. Ally does it for you, it translates everything. And as long as it's accessible, they'll get a really nice MP3 version of it. And this is nice if they want to listen to the syllabus, even if they're not visually impaired or anything. A student can download this and listen to it on their way, on their commute. They can throw it on their phone, plug in their phone to their stereo, and they can listen to their syllabus on their way to work, on their way to school. And so it's really, really cool. There's also an electronic braille version. So if a student is blind or using a braille device, this will give them a file that will work with that. And then EPUBs are really good for like iPad, e-reader, Kindle type devices. And so they're just different ways of helping students access content in a different format. And so they would just select the one they want. They click download, and it'll download that file for them. Now, some instructors may have an issue with that. I don't know why they would, but some might. One example we have is there's actually a way that you can turn on translated versions as well. And our Spanish instructors had an issue with that because they didn't want to add English content and then have it automatically translate, or vice versa. And so in that circumstance, they can turn off that alternative format. And so as an instructor, you would go into the course, find the document that you want to turn that off for. You would click on it, and up on top there's this download alternative formats with the little down arrow. When you click on that, you can disable, and so then students will see this saying that it'll be disabled. And so for whatever reason, if you don't want them to have access to that, that's what you do, and it'll turn it off. And then to enable it, you would just click on it, click on enable for this file, and then those will come back. So if you click on an accident, there is a way to bring it back.
And this is a lot, we know, and no one expects anybody to have all green gauges at all. Yes, Rebecca.
There we go. So I actually, while you guys were doing this, I just went in and thank you, Fonz. Just totally fixed an assignment that I had.
Awesome.
It was like you said, the issue with the headings. But I don't like the way my syllabus looks to non-disabled people with that font. Is there a way to fix that, or is it you're just kind of stuck with like having a giant font at the top of your syllabus or whatever document? So, is that sort of the trade-off?
It kind of is in a lot of ways, unfortunately. You can convert it. So like if it's like a PDF or a Word document, you can try HTML. HTML headings might not be as large as like the word headings, for example. So there definitely are alternatives. In that situation, I would probably just set up an appointment with like your instructional person, your instructional designer. You said Highlands, right? You're at Highlands?
Yeah, no, I'm tenure track at Highlands. I'm teaching for UNM Taos.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So then
Yeah. So that'd
Erin's
be,
girl.
yeah, that'd be, who would that be? Erin, right?
Yep, Erin's your girl, so you definitely reach out to her. Maybe you guys can look at that together, and I'd be happy to get involved too. You know, if there's any specifics. We use a program called SoftChalk. There is a fee and there is an institutional license that we have, but we can actually create templates. So like our headers aren't very big and they're green, like Adam State green. I think that can be mocked in Learn just using the HTML editors in Learn. We can definitely look at that. But in some ways there is a trade-off, especially for like Word and PDF. But again, you know, it may not look as appealing for some students, but for, you know, it's accessible to all students. So that's kind of the way I look at it anyway. Yeah, awesome. But yeah, but definitely reach out to us. We'll be happy to look at that for you.
All right, Fonz, you ready for me to go back into what we can do now? And this is kind of an ongoing thing. You know, like I said, we always follow the quality matters, you know, kind of like continual improvement. So I'm like totally in the sun right now. Sorry, it's just coming in. We follow the kind of the quality matters, continual improvement idea that, you know, anything we do is better than doing nothing, and keep trying to get this out, to get all greens. I don't think anybody expects perfection. You know, at this point, we're just trying to learn what we're doing and do it well, really. So that's what we're doing.
And it is possible to get 100. It took some fighting, but we have one class that's at 100%, and most of our MBA classes are like high 90s. But it took some getting used to the algorithm and understanding how Ally thinks. But it is possible.
It is possible, yes. Anything's possible.
Oh yeah, but like Erin said, yeah, we don't. The best
Oh,
you can do.
the settings in Learn, Fonz, I might turn control back to you really
No
fast
worries. I'll
while
be
you're
happy to
there.
show that. Sure,
Yes.
sure.
I'm going to stop my share really quick. This is the last thing that Fonz and I wanted to show people for like the extra time on tests or
Yeah.
some of that. I guess I could have done it while I was here, but
No, you're good. You're good.
PowerPoint.
So probably the most common accommodation that we run into is around tests. So having to do, you know, time and a half. Some of our instructors have like auto submit turned on. Maybe accommodation is to not have that feature available or on. So in that case, you would go into the class, find your test. So this is just a little practice test I have here. And what you're going to do is click on that down arrow, and you're going to want to go to edit the test options. Once you're there, if Blackboard decides it wants to get there, it's our midterm season, so there's a lot of people on Blackboard right now. Yeah, we'll give it a few seconds. It looks like it's working.
It's thinking.
It's trying to. Like I said, there's a lot of people on Blackboard. There we go. So
There
if
it
we
is.
scroll down, what we need to find is test availability exceptions. So that's the heading that we're looking for. Once we're here, we click on this add user or group button, and this is going to give you a class roster. And so what you do then is you find the student that needs the accommodation. You're going to click on their little toggle box next to their icon here. You're going to click submit. Excuse me. And that's going to give you options that you can change specifically for that one student. So for example, we're going to give the general test for everyone. We're going to have a 60-minute timer, and its auto submit is on. And if we scroll down here now, we can adjust that timer for just this one student. So we can click on their timer, say they need, you know, double time. So everyone gets 60 minutes, but this student's going to get 120. And maybe the accommodation is to not have auto submit, so we're not going to enable auto submit for that student. They can also, you know, if there's an accommodation to allow multiple attempts, so everyone in this class only gets one attempt. However, for this student, they can actually have multiple, and we're going to give them 2. Another possibility is availability. So for some of our online courses, a test may only be available for a week. but maybe the accommodation for that student is to allow them, a week and a half, 2 weeks, or even the entire course, depending on what they need. If that's the case, here under availability, you can click on their calendar and you can adjust the dates that it's open just for that one student. And so that's a way to adjust it for just that one student.
Looks like Amy wants to say something here.
Mm-hmm.
That's always really nice for that too. If you have a student who is sick, who missed the exam, the availability period's already ended.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be just for ADA purposes. Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
So I have a question. So you were saying, Fonz, that I can go ahead and have like one attempt for the entire class, and maybe somebody gets 2 attempts or multiple attempts.
For sure.
Can I flip it around? So let's say I can't. This is something I was struggling with. Can I say everybody who is physically in class today gets an option to take it in class and then take it another time at a different time?
Okay.
Whereas the person who's not in class only gets 1 attempt. Can I flip that around?
Yeah, so it might be a little bit more work, because what you would probably do then is go to add user, and then just find every student that had that went to class. So click on all of them and then allow them a second attempt in that same place. So you could, it's just a lot more clicks for a lot of students than just the one student.
So what if I said everybody had multiple attempts? So if I had multiple attempts in the
like right here.
In the right there. If everybody had, let's say, 2 attempts there,
sure.
And then I could go into the exceptions maybe and then say, but in this case, I'm giving it to user demo. They only have a single attempt.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
You could use it in the reverse sense, I suppose.
It does say the multiple attempts are too low because it is expecting you to have more.
Can you check the single attempt though? Do the drop box.
And then single attempt, yeah. Exactly.
Erin, that's the answer.
It's your backwards answer, yep.
Oh, yay, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a powerful tool. I mean, regardless, I mean, probably the primary purpose is accessibility for sure. And that is the way to do it, to be very accessible. But yeah, I mean, it's a tool to use to your needs. So for sure. Yeah, it's a very, very nice tool. There are some other ways to do accessibility type stuff in Blackboard. One of them is adaptive release. So say it's like a module, you want to close the module to every student except for one. You would then go to that module. So learning modules, and the way ours is designed, you'd come down here and say we want to close this module for everybody except for one student that needs to go back and review. You would then go to adaptive release for that module, and you can adjust it there. Now, I would highly caution you to mess around with this because it can break a lot of things. By break, I just mean students won't be able to see it, or it's really weird how adaptive release works. It's almost logarithmic in the way that you set it up. So if you are kind of hesitant to try that, I would definitely reach out to myself or Erin. Say, can you please help me with adaptive release? I just want one student to be able to access that, and then we can come in and we can set that up.
I would almost say if you're going to use the adaptive release, keep notes of what you put in the adaptive release, because I don't know if it was the bug was fixed, but what was happening in prior semesters after last summer was they was still being adaptively released to that student after the course was rolled over. And so nobody could see it, and that student obviously wasn't in the course anymore. It was like a funny old setting that was kind of like a ghost, and it wouldn't go away. So we had to go back into the adaptive release and see what's going on here. And it was just frustrating for everybody involved. So be careful with adaptive release.
It's a very powerful tool that works really cool in a lot of ways, but yeah, it's very powerful, like in bad ways too. But in that
it has
situation,
the potential for both.
Oh yeah, but in that situation where it's just one student, we would do like a membership role. We would find that one student, and that only that student will have access. Everyone else won't even see that it's there. So it's a tricky thing, and you don't want to do anything too crazy. So definitely reach out to us if you have questions, and we can help you.
All right, everybody has had such good questions now that we're getting low on time, so I'm going to start talking really, really fast. So I just thought this was kind of fun to do using our PowerPoint in this mode. Fonz, do you see the notes down the side?
Yes, I do. I see the slides, yeah.
Perfect. Okay, couple things really quickly that you can just do. Number one, look over here. I'm in the Home tab, and this is our PowerPoint, is just check accessibility. This button is always in the Home tab in a PowerPoint. I'm going to click it, and it tells me what's missing and how to fix it. So it's kind of its own version of Ally right here in the Home tab. So look, it's missing an alt text. So here's the first one. I put one on Fonz, but not myself. So you look how to do, so how do you do that? Okay, so all I need to do to fix this, I did put one on Fonz just to illustrate the difference. I right click on it, I scroll down to Format Picture, and then this little tool menu pops up. And this one right here, Size and Properties, allows me to add an alt image text to it. I'm just going to click on it, and there it is, alt text. And you can see I already put Portrait of Alfonso. I didn't put Fonz, sorry Fonz.
That's okay.
Velasquez, I just left it like that.
That's my real name.
That's what I thought. So that's that. And then all you need to do then is close it out. There's no save button, you just close it out. So for mine, then I right clicked on it again, down to Format Picture. The one that kind of looks like a waffle going sideways. There's no description here. So I would just add the alt text to that. I would just add Erin Duddy. so that's how that works. And so you can literally go just fix all the stuff. There's another image I did not add alt text to. I started off, I was going to show you what it looked like perfect, and I thought, no, it's better to actually show you how to just do that. Unclear hyperlink text. We're going to talk about hyperlinks next. So I think one of the thing with Word is a lot of that stuff is up here in different locations, or in any Microsoft product, really. So I'm going to go ahead and share a different document. I'm going to share my notes about best practices, and that's a Word document. And that allows me to, where'd my share go? That'll allow me to actually show you in real time how to download this productivity tab that's going to put all those tools in your Word for you. And then a couple different things about just best practices. Okay. All right. Okay, you still looking at the PowerPoint?
We see the Word document now.
Oh, sweet. Okay, I have dual monitors, so I'm never sure what anybody's looking at. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about this stuff, and I'm going to talk about heading tags in just a minute, but just really quickly. So if you see here, up here in my tools, I have right here to the right of home, I have productivity. This is something I actually had to you could turn on or install it. It's really easy to use. And so I'm just going to click on it and show you what it looks like. And so all of these tools here are things that you would use to make a document more accessible, a table of contents.
We didn't see you click on it, Erin. It just shows the Word document, file, home, productivity, but I didn't see the click on productivity.
Did it not show all the tools?
No.
Oh, how annoying. That's really interesting. Well, that's a bummer.
Is it open in like a view only on one side? And
no, that's what's strange. Oh, it says my screen sharing is paused. I wonder why. What did I hit
there you
there?
go.
I'll just stop it and try it again. All right. I didn't pause it, I swear. Okay. Accessibility. Thanks, Fonz.
Yeah, no
That's
problem.
why you always need a co-pilot if you're in Word.
Okay, we see it now.
See it now. Can you see this? With
Yes.
the home tab? Okay, perfect. Okay, so like I said, I have this productivity tab. I turned it on myself, or I tried to turn it on and realized I didn't have it. So I'm going to send you a little link that you can download this at, because again, these tools are all over the place, but the productivity tab puts them all here in one. Obviously, you know, save, new documents, some of these. This was developed, it was from Texas, in an organization that realized that they were using these all the time and looking all over for these different things, and so they just put them all in one area, and they called it productivity because they realized they were no longer looking for all of these things, so they had put them here. So that's where the name came from. If you want to turn this on or see if you have it in your own Word at home, again, this is a PC. I'm on a PC, so I don't have the Mac version, but it's probably quite similar. So you click on File. There's a couple ways to do this. You'd click on File, and you'd go to options down here at the bottom. And here's my customize ribbon, quick access toolbar. The customized ribbon is the one we're looking for, so click on that. And this is like Word 201. There's a lot of advanced features in here. See if you can find the productivity tab. You might just have it there. You just need to put a checkbox by it. Pardon me. You just need to turn it on and then click OK. If you don't have it, go over to here to custom tabs and groups. If you don't see it on your right-hand side, custom tabs and groups, oh, sorry, still in popular commands, custom tabs and groups, then you would actually, this works just like if you're using the course messenger tool, pick the one you want and kind of put it over here with the add button on this side. So you might find the productivity tab over here on this side. Now, if you don't have it in either of those, I'm going to click cancel. I sent it to Fonz the other day, and it was, I think you thought it was quite easy too.
Yeah, really. I mean, you click on it, it downloads, and it just pops up. So it really is easy to use, and Erin can send you all the link for that for sure. One of us will.
I'm going to do that right now. This is also a really good website in terms of, I'm going to put it in the chat box for you. I can also email it out to people. Where did the chat box go?
Yeah, but you know, most of the things that were coming up in Ally, like the headings, the alternative text, that productivity toolbar will have headings, alt text, images, like everything will kind of be there. So it really is a time saver. But you know, looking at all of our courses, we can do like an institutional wide report and kind of see like what level all our courses are at in general. And I think our biggest issue is headings and the alt text. Like those are just the two most common issues that pop up in all courses. And that's just something that, you know, even, you know, I took business computer applications and they taught us all this cool stuff. It just wasn't something that was common yet. You know, the need for accessibility and online digital content. And so my brain just wasn't trained that way to automatically add the headings, automatically add that. I would just, you know, write it out, bold it, make it bigger, and there's my title. So, you know, I now realize how that's a hindrance for a lot of students that are using those screen readers. And so having, you know, it's a simple click, you highlight it, click heading 1, any subheading, heading 2. If you have a third subheading, that's heading 3. Everything else is plain text. Bulleted lists are accessible, and that's just allowing students that are using screen readers to follow along no problem. And so, yeah, that productivity tab is helpful because it kind of lists all the tools you need in one location.
Hope I uploaded the wrong file here. So I was going to show you how to do that really quickly just using a Word file, and I put the productivity tab in the chat box. It's from a different college's website. There's a ton of information that they have there, so I didn't reinvent the wheel there on that. I just put it in the in the chat box.
It's the ysu.edu link. That'll be the one to show you how to do that.
Yeah, and it's just super easy to use, and it's a good thing to have on your computer. I do find myself using it a little bit more often now that I have it on my computer to use. Okay, let's see, accessibility. I'm looking for the one I just had up here a minute ago, sorry. Nope, not that one. All right. Well, I could probably use that one, but so headers. The thing we always think about, and when you're talking about your headers, is Rebecca still here? The headers, if you just make it bold, if you just make it bigger or in italics, they can't, that the screen reader doesn't know that, and it doesn't differentiate between what that actually is. Okay, I think this is the one I'm looking for. I hope, if not, I'll stop looking for it. Nope, not.
And when you're an instructional designer, you always have like 15 documents, 15
I know, you always have like 50
15
things open. I'm like, which one is it? Okay, we'll try that.
Yeah, it's a curse
there
of the
it
field.
Is. There it is. There it is. All right, so simple tools that you can do to add those header tags it's looking for. So we covered images already. I hope people are comfortable with that. If anybody isn't, let me know. I'm just seeing this with first developing and editing content. Please keep these points in mind. Are you looking at that, Fonz?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so very quickly, I'm just going to highlight this. And here in the Home tab, I can add a header. It's under styles. It's not immediately obvious which one it is, but if you know a thing or two about HTML, there it is, heading 1, or what would be an H1 tag. So it doesn't have to stay in this color, mind you. So that would be just an easy way to add the header. Talking about colors, red is not an acceptable color for anything. People have a really hard time with that color if you're colorblind, which is another accessibility concern. Black, dark colors, blue, green, and maroon are all considered accessible because everybody who can see and any type of color spectrum can see that. So I'm going to now go here over to heading 2, and that kind of makes a smaller tag, which would be almost underneath the heading 1 tag. I should have a syllabus open, and it would be a lot easier to see, where it says syllabus CJ 2120, and that would be the header tag, and then below that would be, course policies, course rules, and that would be an example of a heading 2 tag. The other thing that's sneaky over here in this styles is a better way to do, if you scroll down here, strong. Instead of using bold, use strong. So I'm going to highlight ordinary red and then click on, oh, yikes, and click on strong. So it looks exactly the same. It's just the screen reader, because it puts it into HTML kind of behind the scenes, and you don't have to be an expert in HTML. But intense emphasis, that's another one. Emphasis in boldface and italics right here. So get familiar with this styles tab. It's right here in the home tab next to productivity. And for, this is not going to be a good example of it, but then there's your accessibility right there. And it'll tell you, my heading is too long. Repeated blank characters, because the screen reader also has a hard time with that. And those are just all of my spaces. Okay, let's see. Oh, we're about 3 o'clock right now. What else the last thing I really want to talk about. Don't, if you're putting in the URL, you have to be careful with the whole thing. Don't use click here, because click here, you
As
need,
a
when you're,
hyperlink,
yes, you need to be using things in context. If you're, if you think about it, would someone know if they couldn't see, would they know what click here means? Probably not. If the URL is spelled out in text, don't link the URL text. You can leave that text unlinked there in case a sighted person needs to copy and paste it for whatever reason. But any practice that you can do to increase accessibility for screen readers is a good idea. Tables are good for formatting content and for tabular data. However, tables are not as good in favor of other HTML and CSS markup. So don't worry about all of that. If you're going to use a table, just do your best to make sure that you structure it, in a way that someone with a screen reader would be able to understand. That's simply, think of it in terms of like an Excel document where you have headers along, a row and a column, and so that the screen reader would be able to differentiate that information. So that's your heading tags. The last and final thing that we really wanted to talk a little bit about is another component of accessibility is video content. And transcriptions are, well, it's 99, it's mandatory. It's not, it is the law. It's a violation of the law if we do not use transcripts, and it's supposed to be 99% accurate.
And there's a lot of different tools that both institutions can use, even something simple like YouTube. So say you create a video, you can upload that to YouTube, and YouTube has a machine generated transcript that it'll automatically caption for you. But it's a really good idea to jump in there real quick, make sure you read it, because when you use things like acronyms or people's names, or if you talk like me and you use a vernacular, it can misunderstand what you're saying. And so students that are hard of hearing or deaf are watching the transcripts, and instead of something like my baseball cap is talking about purple cats, and so they don't know like what's going on. I don't quite understand. And so it's just important to follow along, make sure that you edit those. At Adams State University, we use Kaltura. That's what our instructors use to record their videos. I believe UNM Taos has Kaltura as well. I'm not sure if the captioning service is on that one.
We do not have a captioning service on
Okay.
that.
So at Adams State, if you are using Kaltura, once that video gets published to the cloud, then it will automatically caption as well. Again, if they're not correct, you can reach out to us. We can help you correct those. I believe UNM Taos uses Zoom. Do you guys
can
have the
use
captioning
Zoom?
service for Zoom?
Yes, we do have the captioning service for Zoom if it's in the cloud. If not, I have some things. I had some stuff, but I don't want to keep people much past an hour. But yes, Zoom, as long as it's in the cloud, does a fairly good job of captioning. The thing that's tricky with it is finding the finding how to do that, because after any user familiar with Zoom knows that it eventually sends you the transcript. About an hour later it renders the video if you've done any type of video in Zoom. About an hour later it sends you the transcript, or it says your Zoom link is ready, and that's at that point then you can go in and get the transcript and edit it. So can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what it looks like from your Zoom account. If you have recordings, scroll down on the side, you just click on recordings and it'll list all your recordings. This is the second screen then. I just chose one and I get 7 different files to choose from. And this is where it's not intuitive. Instead, you click on the audio file to edit the transcript, not the transcript file. So then here's the transcript, which it spelled my name wrong, you know, so it's not perfect. There's a little pencil that appears next to every one of these timestamps, and you just click on the little pencil, edit what you want, and then click save down at the bottom. See, this is what it looks like after you click on the pencil and click save. Then up here, then after you make those changes, you click on share, and then it'll give you the link to send out, you know, via email or post in your Learn shell. So the thing with captioning is, you know, going forward, it is something that they're trying to get a different captioning service for, so that we can have that. If you're going to do videos yourself and you're not using Zoom, let's say you're using your iPad or however you want to do videos, do a transcript, and that is another way to say, you know, here, this is an accessible thing. They also find in terms of universal design that students sometimes just like to read along. It's good if someone does have a heavy accent or speaks in a vernacular, like you say, or sometimes it's just, you know, better for retention if someone's watching and videoing. And I know Kelly teaches a video class here, so I'm curious what he's thinking on this idea, because he has so much video content in there. Kelly, is there something for, like, if you have students watch movies, is there an accessibility option? Or I know we're all trying here, so I'm not putting you on the spot. I'm just curious. Oh, we can't hear you. Oh, darn it. Still can't hear you. Do you have a way to turn your microphone up? Can you put it in the chat box maybe? Yeah. So those are just some accessibility things that we need to be mindful of. And
I think bottom line, you know, if you have questions, contact your accessibility people. They'd be more than happy to help you, I'm sure. But yeah, me and Erin know just enough to get us into trouble. We can at least point you in the right direction, I think.
We know just enough to stay out of trouble too, and make things accessible for students, because, you know, it is hard, you know, that it would be so difficult to navigate a world where you don't have a mouse. And if you were using the tab button to scan content with the screen reader, you know, it's just kind of making small, simple considerations for accessibility is really, it's as easy to put just a few changes instead of using bold, to just use the strong, the HTML, you know, just for the same amount of emphasis. It doesn't look any different. I agree with Rebecca, the heading tag might not be as accessibly pleasing, but maybe we take the heading tag and change the color, or, you know, there's ways to do it. So does anyone have any questions, any thoughts, parting thoughts? Kelly, I still can't see her. Oh, okay. I don't know why, but yeah, I'd love to chat with Kelly more about the accessibility, you know, with video content that you did not create, you know, things that you're, especially like in a film class.
Yeah. And you know, I know our accessibility office, I believe, double check with them for sure, but I think they have transcripting services available. So like if you have something that you didn't create that you can't get a file and upload it easily or legally, sometimes you can reach out to them, see if maybe they can help you transcribe it, or
But it
show
might
you how
also
to
be out there
transcribe.
just for somebody might have ran it through YouTube before, and it might already be there. It might already exist with the transcript.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah, so we're just
Yeah.
doing our best.
Yep.
Anybody
Awesome.
have any questions?
Okay. Well,
Anybody learned something new today?
hope so.
Lots. Yay, thumbs up.
Awesome. Well, it was
Awesome.
great to meet you all. I look forward to working with Erin some more. I know we're going to try to have one of these at least once a month, different topics. I think some of the next ones coming up are universal design. I think one of them was also how to use like Blackboard, just different tips and tricks that maybe me and Erin have come across in our years of experience.
Our hope is to make your life easier and have better, better contact and communication with your students. And Learn is a powerful tool. So we want people to learn how to use it well.
Yeah, and if you have any requests for topics too, send Erin an email, send me an email, say, hey, can you show me how to do this? And if we get enough requests, I mean, we're happy to do this. This is our opportunity to hang out and have fun and help you all and learn and create these environments of learning. So
and
we're
you don't have
excited
to
to
hit
do
any potholes to get here.
it. Definitely.
We're at that point in the winter. All right, thanks everybody. I will post the video with the transcript, and you can actually, this will be a nice exercise. I will not edit this transcript. You can see how well Zoom captions with unedited transcripts. I'd say it's probably 75 to 80% accurate. So
and so when
I'd love to
Fonz
hear your
says
feedback.
y'all, you'll see how it messes around. And
Yeah, it doesn't even know what you just said. No idea. All right, thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, great to meet you all.
Bye-bye.